All right, welcome to the Real Man Podcast. This is your host, Coach Bricks, and I am happy to have back on. He was on earlier, one of my earlier sessions. We just did a real short, brief introduction type thing just to get people to know who this gentleman was. This one, we're going to go into a little more detail. You're going to get to know a lot more about this gentleman here and understand him. This is an athlete that I had many, many years ago. Was a superstar athlete, played at Middletown High School, broke a lot of the rushing records. Since then, a couple guys have beaten it, have come along and beaten his all-time rushing record, but it stood for many, many years, up to about, I think 6-7 years ago. So this is a great individual. Definitely is, you're going to hear how he changed his life, and he changed it for the better. And this is what I talk about a lot in my program, guys, is that we all fall down. We all have problems in life. Nobody's perfect, even though they might have this, you see this outside picture of being perfect. Life's not perfect. All right. We all have failures. We all have problems. It's how you overcome those problems. It's going to seek help, seeking advice, seeking that stuff, and overcoming it and becoming the person that we're supposed to be and the real man I talk about. And this gentleman has definitely started to take those steps to become that real man. And without further ado, I want to introduce a good buddy of mine. This is Mr. Rodney Ramsey. Rodney, how are you today, bud?
Oh, man. Great, Coach. How are you? Blessed by the best. Thanks for having me.
I'm always grateful when I wake up every day. I'm very happy and I'm very blessed, like you said. And it's even more of a pleasure when I get to speak to my guys. You know what I mean? My guys that I had when they were young boys. You know what I mean? Now growing up to men like you are here. And, I want to get right into it. And here's one of the questions that I always ask. And I want to know from you, how do you define leadership?
How I define leadership as someone that's willing to stand up for what they believe in and take hold of something that don't look right and help it, reach to a next level. There's leadership is lacked throughout the communities. So we as men, we have to stand up for, what we believe in and help one that ultimately needs the help, because there's a lot of us that need help that we don't know where to go because there's no real leaders that's in position to help us. For me, it's just to lead by example. I'm a father of 4, and I see each and every day that I wake up, I have to lead by example because I know what it feels like to, not have a father at that age or someone to look up and say, that's a leader that's going to lead me in the right direction in this thing called life.
Yeah, and you're right on, and I want to turn off that question there a little bit because you kind of got into it, but you never really answered it. I want to hear this. What do you think is lacking in leaders today? Because I think that's a question we need to answer. We know that there's lacking leadership.
Yeah.
What's lacking? What part do you think is lacking?
The identity. We as people don't truly know who we are. So how can we go out there and pretend to be leaders or want to be leaders if we still don't know the core person who we are and what we stand for as a human being? So, the identity overall, for me, I look at it and say, who are you? And what do you stand for? So, for me, I think, the identity of the individual and what they stand for is,
I think that's a great answer. I've asked that to many people, and I think that nails a lot of it because I think a lot of us in society don't know who we are. And even as we get older, people don't know who the heck they are. These 40, 50, 60-year-olds, they still don't know who they are, don't know where they are. And so I think that's a key part of starting the journey of why leaders are lacking in today's society, because really, truly, people, I think, put a persona on of who they want to be, but not who they truly are. So I think that's great. Now, playing on this leadership thing, who do you see besides yourself? Because I definitely see you as a leader of your family and stuff, but who do you see outside of you as a leader? And it could be a person, could be a personal, could be, national person. Well,
absolutely.
I appreciate that, man.
And the reason why I say that is because from day one, you've always been that person to show me this is how you're supposed to do the right things in life. And me being a hard-headed, young boy, I just never really seen it because I was still blinded by who I was. And, I had some stuff to figure out. But looking at it to this day, you're still here and seeing how you lead and how you've been leading, it's a pleasure. And I owe it up to you. I really do. And I say that with the kindness in my heart, because without you, I wouldn't be the man that I am today. That's the truth.
I appreciate that, man. That's
I
really
appreciate you, Coach.
a lot. So I appreciate that. Now I want to switch gears here a little bit. And
Yes,
I
sir.
think this is one of the parts of what, almost like what you said, you know, people don't understand who they are. And I think this goes into being a man. And it's, you know, what's your definition of self-discipline? And how do you think it needs to be molded into somebody?
Self-discipline starts at home. And when I say starts at home, it really, like, it starts at home. If you're not working on yourself mentally, to be disciplined, and discipline is very painful. It's hard for, you know, us as men to stay disciplined and continue that throughout, you know, our life. So we got to get back, as men, we got to get back to working on the core foundation of the discipline principle. Because when it's all said and done, it's going to help us, you know, go through, you know, the phases and the challenges to come.
Excellent. You know, I agree with that. I think that has to definitely start at home. You have to know who that is. You have to know all that kind of stuff that molds into who you are. And you got to be able to do it even when you don't want to do it. And I think that's one of the toughest things, because most people only want to do things when it either fits their time, their agenda, or when they feel good. Whereas a lot of times in life, you're not going to feel great and you still got to do it. You know what I mean? You have 4 kids. You know how it is. There's times that those kids wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're tired as heck. Well, guess what? You got to still take care of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And owning up to that. So I
Yes,
agree.
sir.
Now I want to get a little more personal with you on this one. All right. And I ask this to everybody. What do you fear? Do you fear anything? And if it's so, what is it?
We all have fears in life. But to be honest, the levels that I faced, I pretty much walked through my fears. I conquered my fears. I embraced my fears. It made me stronger to this day. I mean, to be honest, Coach, I mean, I don't know. I'm afraid of dying in water. Suffocation. I think suffocation is one of the worst ways. That's one fear.
I would agree.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, I'm pretty brave. Like, I've always been brave. I come from a strong family that's really, like, fought life on each level, and that's what I stand for. You know, fighting on those levels of life, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. Each level, there's a different, you know, there's a new devil, and you got to walk through those devils. You got to embrace it. You got to fight it, because I mean, no matter what, tomorrow's never promised. So I stand with God and not against him. So if I can do this, I can do anything. But public speaking was one of my biggest fears. But now look at me. Each and every day is public speaking. You go outside, you talk to your neighbors, public speaking. I mean, but now, hey, look at me. I'm doing it. But I'm strong.
Let me ask you this, because you're right, and I agree with you. You've overcome a lot of stuff that I've seen throughout your life.
Yes.
So what advice would you give somebody of how to overcome that? Because we could talk about it all day here, you and I. Oh, I overcame this, I overcame this. But we have to give people, I think, a little bit of how we overcame it. So what did you do to overcome, you know, like, just let's keep it basic. Let's keep to that public speaking. How did you start to overcome that?
So for me, I mean, I had to accept that this was a part of my journey, public speaking, because I've always been a leader, and, you know, and having that word to say, you know what, this is how we can do things, and this is how we can operate. So when you look at public speaking, each and every level that, you know, I've been presented, I had to kind of like go through it. So there was a time I was at a real estate, you know, seminar, and the microphone was passed to me, and I had to get up and speak. At that moment, I was like, all right, if this is something that you want to do, you have to do it. Like, there's no turning back. You got to burn that bridge to say, all right, this is only going to make me stronger, you know? So just do it. And, you know, once it's completed, it makes you feel better as a person. So
that's great advice. You know, I think you're right. Sometimes you just got to dive head in.
Yeah.
We talk about people who don't know how to swim. Sometimes you just got to jump right in.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
and do those kind of things. And I think you're right. You have to embrace what you don't, which maybe you fear or what you
Hmm.
don't know, and then figure out how to work on it. I think a lot of people don't like to take that. You know what
Yes.
I mean? Because it's work. It's work
Yeah.
for you. It's
Yes.
work. It's not natural for you. Yes, you can come and speak to me, but when you
Hmm.
get in a bigger group, it's much more difficult. Now, some people I've
Absolutely.
seen are natural speakers. They can go anywhere and talk to anybody in front of anybody and do that.
Right.
You lack other areas. So I agree with you. I think that's really, good stuff there. This has been a word that's been floated around a lot, and
Hmm.
I wanted to get your take on it. Not just a word, but a phrase, and it's this toxic masculinity. Okay, everybody talks about it in today's society, and I want to know from you: do you think it even exists? And if
To
it
be,
does, what do you think it is?
to, to be honest, Coach, I don't even know what it is. I never even heard of it. I never even heard of it. Break it down to me and
All
let
right,
me
so
get it in
toxic,
the
what everybody's talking about this toxic masculinity. All right, it's this new
Okay.
thing that everybody talks about, and it's these. You can't be masculine anymore as men. All right, you got to be this. It's almost like you have to be almost more feminine than you have to be as a man, and so the toxic masculinity comes into play is when men think that they're better. It's because you got idiots in this world like Harvey Weinstein who goes around
Hmm.
and uses his power to do certain things to women and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's what people call this toxic masculinity, but they
Hmm.
consider everybody. When you talk to certain people, everybody in that phrase. So they would consider you your toxic masculinity. You're trying to be the man of the house. Well, that's toxic masculinity to them. And that's what I wanted to get your take on is like there's masculinity and then there's feminine. You know what I mean? And so I think there's a difference, but I don't know about this whole toxic thing that everybody's toxic, just because you feel like the man's job is to support the woman, not
Yes.
ride her, not control her, but support
Hmm.
the woman, take care of her, open the door, things like that, because you want to do those kind things. Not saying a woman couldn't do it, but
Right.
you want to be there for her. So that's what I wanted to get your take on.
I mean, everyone has their own opinion on how, like that. Uh, Whoever wants to put their energy towards that, then by all means. But for me, I look at it like this. If you the man of the house, you the man of the house. That's your responsibility. That's your duty. So what goes on in this house, it's not up for the outsiders to judge. If I have a daughter that is trying to figure out, am I going to do this? Do I want to play with Barbies or do I want to play with football? Or if I have a son that says, do I want to play with Barbies or do I want to play with a football? You got to grow with that. And it's all about maturity. And if someone can channel their energy and their thought process to look at it like that, then, I mean, they're confused. I don't know, Coach. I just, I don't know.
All right. All
I
right.
don't know. I don't know. I mean, because I don't know too much about it, but I don't know. For me, I mean, I agree to an extent. People do use their masculine to overpower some people, but I mean, when it's all said and done, you gotta know who you are as a person, and if that's how you choose to live your life, then that's how you choose to live.
Sure. Hey,
It's all about your thought process at the end of the day.
Grant, agree. I agree. So another question:
Mm,
mental toughness. All right.
yes,
What does mental toughness mean to you? What do you think mental toughness is?
mental toughness. Life is a mental balance. Life is a mental challenge. You gotta really fight on each level to make sure that your mental is at peace. Um, when I was younger, I was pushed off a railing banister at the age of 5 and split my head open to where I could, who knows how I could have went back then. You see what I'm saying? Like, but to overcome that and to have like, I could have, I faced the head, experience. To be able to fight through that, the hurtful words and that everybody has placed on me when I was younger, and to go through life and and fight the words of people saying how much I look like my father or how much I did things like my father. That's not truly who I was. So to have so many people put this on me as just an individual, like you gotta like mentally fight through the poverty. You gotta fight through like all the struggle and the pain and like just to get to the other side of the beauty when it's, you know, coming to the mental thing. A lot of us can get in a place where we're isolated, and you know that's a mental thing that you got to really shift to, work your way through it. I mean, it's tough, it's difficult, but like mental health that's the first really priority that you got to check. Mental and your physical. You don't got that, and what truly do you have?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Sorry,
So
I was speaking in shambles, but
no.
I get caught up sometimes.
No, man, I love it. I love it. You got to be yourself. That's why I tell everybody, you
Absolutely.
got to
Yes,
be
sir.
yourself. So this is who you are. I love it. So here's another personal question.
Yes.
What is your biggest failure in life? If you failed at life at anything, what is your biggest one?
I mean, I don't look at them as failures. I look at them as mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes on each level. Um, I made a lot of mistakes from, you know, acting in violence, stealing, like just being an overall bonehead. And I mean, that's a failure to me as a person, because it was, my thoughts and my choices that made me do the things that I did. So it's like just mistakes. The mistakes that I made, I learned from them. The lessons that, was placed on me, I look at them as blessings now, and I don't look at life as a failure. And if I do fail, I'm failing going forward, not backwards.
Good, 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 good. So what has been one of your greatest growths then as an individual?
I mean, this,
Pinpoint a specific thing that actually, boom, this thing changed me who I am all of a
right.
sudden.
So, I mean, recently, I don't like to speak about it, but, I was involved in some stuff that, you know, put my family's life at jeopardy. Uh, Almost lost my children, lost my wife, lost the house that I laid my head in. Um, that right there really was a bigger eye opener, because I am getting older and I'm making, the same mistakes that I was making when I was, 5, 10, 15 years old. And I had to look in the mirror and say, you know what, it's time for me to grow up. It's time for me to find out what my purpose is in life, to now direct my own life and help my children get to this thing, called life. Because right now they're confused. They got so much trauma that's going on through their mind, where it's up to me as their father to help, declutter that and, rebuild them back up as, human beings that's in a beautiful thing, beautiful world. So like this past experience, like it really, because I was facing some time behind bars again for the drug activity that I was doing, and I look at it like I didn't have to make those decisions. I didn't have to, go down that road, but I chose to because life hit me. That was a decision that I made that right now I'm standing on. And it's only making me stronger, when it's all said and done.
I think that's excellent because I think, I've known you for a while, and I've seen you grow and I've seen you do some dumb things as we all have. And I've seen you actually mature more in the last probably year than I've seen you mature in any other part of your life.
Yes, sir.
And I really truly mean that. And I give you mad compliments because it's not easy. You could have continued to go down that path, made the excuses, but you owned up to it. And it's something that some people don't do. And I think that's when I saw you actually grow, because you didn't make an excuse. Before you make an excuse for it, like I'm young or it's this guy's fault, you didn't take any excuse. You said it was on you. And I said, that is a time when you said that to me, this thing rung in my head. And I'm like, he finally learned. I said, he will learn now and he will grow to be the best person he possibly can, because you finally admitted that it was on you, that you made the mistake, not anybody else. It was a choice you chose, and you said it there. And I said, that kid will grow up, which I consider everybody a kid. I'm sorry. I'm not saying you're kidding. You're definitely a man. But he will definitely grow up to be exactly the person he wants to be now, because he finally admitted in himself of what he messed up on. And I was the same way. Trust me, I've been there. I've been down those dark roads. I talk to everybody. I've been to hell, you know, and until I actually took it upon myself to admit it was on me and not blaming somebody else, that was when I started to grow.
Right.
And I think that's for everybody.
Yes, Coach, and I agree. Like, you have to take that account. Like, number one, you have to hold yourself accountable at all times, because the things that you make, then nobody make them for you. So if it's good, if it's bad, if it's ugly, you brought it to you. So you got to look in the mirror at night. You got to look at, in the mirror in the morning. You got to say, listen, is this who I truly am? And if so, what is it going to bring? Is it going to bring me, misery? Is it going to bring me happiness and joy and love and peace and prosperity? Like, what do you have to, you're the deciding factor. It's either you can go left or you can go right or you can go straight. Which way are you going? And for me, I've been going left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right my whole life. You hear what I'm saying? Like, literally left, right. I've been running my whole life, high stepping over people, throwing stiff arm at the world. But now I just got to run straight to the end zone. You hear what I'm saying? And that's the only way. I was a leader and a captain on the football field, but now I'm not just trying, I am being a leader and a motivator in this thing called life. It's a journey and I got to complete it, but each day I grow.
No, I agree. Like I said, I truly mean what I said about you, and I give you mad props for what you've done. So my last question here for you. I want to know 3 characteristics that you would consider to make up a real man.
3 characteristics to make up a real man.
Yeah.
For me, peace, love, and happiness.
Okay.
When you look at it, like, once you get to that place that you can say, I want the love, I want the happiness, I want the peace in my life, then that's when you can say, I've endured all the pain that made me the person that I am today. And that's a real man. You can see it in their face, you can hear it in the voice, in the conversation, that they, a person went through a lot. And if it's genuine and it's authentic, who wouldn't want love, peace, and prosperity? So you just got to be strong. You got to be relentless. You got to be powerful at times where you have to be powerful. You just have to stay focused. And if you stay focused on the goal, then nothing else should really matter.
No, I agree, and I think there are 3 very, very good characteristics, and your explanation of how you got to that is key too. I think, when you just hear it sometimes, you're like, but then how you explained it, I think really nailed a lot of stuff down. So last thing here, anything you want to add, anything, you know what I mean? What's Rodney Ramsey doing right now with his life? And, would you have any advice for people who are, boys looking to become men?
For me, what I'm doing right now in my life, I'm being the best father that I can be, best husband that I can be to my children and to my wife, and just being the true motivator that I know that's my purpose, like being that motivator to help one, get through, the struggles of life, to get to a happier place. For me, it's just like, that's it. Like, this is a journey, and each day is going to bring me a new blessing. And I want the same thing for the youth out there that's, striving to make ends meet or striving for a better, better cause in life. Like, you got to want more. And if you don't want more for yourself, how can you want more for the people around you? Every morning ask God for a life of strength and a life of abundance, so you can have more than enough to give back to your people, that help you through the times that, that are hard. So, just stay focused, keep your head up, keep your chest out, and, follow God's path.
That's awesome advice. Well, Rodney, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're going to be out. You're going to be speaking again on the 26th, which is a big time, you know what I mean, with a bunch of other guys. We talk about it. It's the Real Man Seminar. We're going to be talking. You're going to be on a little more detail, more about your life. And, other guys will be going in their detail about their life, but some of the struggles that you went to. And it's going to be all on Zoom. So I hope people chime in, sign up, get on so people can see that. You know what I mean? I think it's very, very important. So I appreciate you, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. Thank you so much, my man.
Appreciate you, Coach. Hey, have a blessed day. Thank you again for having me.